Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you for this walk through the technology investment that we're getting to the end and the reflections, this Digital Innovation Day. This is dedicated to two big topics, economy recovery after this catastrophic moment. It's possible through telecommunication services and also vital digital transformation needed in the society in different areas. This event also took place with an entity with the Iberoamerican Secretariat that is 30 years young today, and the digital sector when we have regulatory ministers, the areas for lobbying, and the Congress of different countries in Latin America, specialized press, analysts. This is also an interdisciplinary event. That's why we have talked about education and culture, about these elements that are part of the life of a digital society. This event has also been supported by the by ECLAC, Huawei, and DPL Group. I'm going to give the floor for final comments and closing to my dear friend Enrique Vargas. Thank you, Jorge Fernando. Thank you for making this possible, this edition of Digital Innovation Day. There are no words, not enough words to describe the talent, honesty, sincerity, that the different speakers, over 25 participation, over 25 speakers. As you well said, Jorge Fernando, we have seen ministers, regulators, all type of people involved and very involved to improve the quality of life, of our people, to make sure that the decisions are properly. I'm convinced that between yesterday and today, we all have been able to learn something new. I know that the fact of this forum having been an interdisciplinary forum, this allows us to see what others are doing. We can understand how the technologies are developing, how we're trying to solve the big challenges in this time. We have to thank those who have made it possible to hold this. Of course, I cannot miss mentioning Huawei, ECLAC, dear Jorge, and I have to acknowledge the leadership of DPL in the entire region. This leadership built with effort, work, and knowing and creating what's the most important thing for this to go, to generate trust. Trust that is absolutely necessary for people to be able to come, to share the experience, to share the vision, and in that transparency as we face people. This audience that is a specialized audience, and that's probably why we need more honesty. It also allows us to analyze trends. All the participants at this forum, at these two large and intense days, all participants agree in the main principles of digital transformation. We all have verbalized what we can see the fundamental principles of digital transformation in our region. This is nothing small because transformation was already there, but to generate the concepts of this transformation adapted to our realities, adapted to our asymmetries, to our lack of equality as a society, this allows us to be bold and to place black over white what it means for our region, digital transformation. And this forum has allowed this. This forum has been an opportunity to take a step forward, not one, two, several steps forward with respect to what digital transformation is. Everyone, every single person has mentioned as the common place to close the digital gap. How we have to cut down the digital divide, actually. They have shared the experience of what it has meant. This level of absolute acceleration, but they have been very generous in sharing how. And that's what we were missing. We still needed to understand that when we're talking about digital divide, what are we talking about? How the stakeholders are working to close the gap, not only from the logics of improving the business, trying to improve the capacity of business growth. We're talking about improving the quality of life of the people, the productive processes, and the different manifestations that go through the roads of what's digital. And this is something that we're celebrating at this forum. Everybody talks about efficient regulation, and we have seen about regional regulation. We have to talk about regional integration, but this is not going to be possible if we don't move forward in regional regulation. And we have huge challenges, but there's an intention. It's going to be verbalized. We have to move forward in a regional regulation with efficacy. Everybody talks about better public policies. Everybody talks about this. We have seen it very clearly that we cannot stay with public policy that are 10 years old. We need to be a forefront region in public policy because the diverse sectors are demanding public policy that are dynamic, participative, cooperation. We have to talk about public-private cooperation. And this forum has innovated. It has innovated, it has taken a step forward in formulas that are a lot more imaginative about how to move forward, how to continue working. Everybody talks about citizenship and access, and I have to celebrate that. We have to, because the digital divide, if it doesn't come with access policy, promotion policy, if we don't place at the middle of the citizenship, we can have access, we can have more connectivity, but in my own intervention, I can say, what are the contents that we're going to put through that? That's important, but that has to be responsible, democratic, and that we have to reach those objectives with times, very concrete, because the investments are there. A few years ago, we were talking about how important it had been the investment of infrastructure in the past few years, and that the region in Latin America was ready, and it had the road ready where they had to work. And the pandemic came, and we saw that these investments in digital infrastructure were not ready as they were reported. As of the pandemic, we can see that those investments have accelerated and that we have huge challenges ahead of us. Everybody talks about this, and I have to underscore in the improvement of the quality of life. When you hear decision makers talk about this, this is something that we must celebrate. Nobody has lost the critical character. We thank for that vision, for that capacity, that critical capacity around the topics that they're specialists in. But everyone, absolutely everyone, has left optimism, have been able to share that there's a way to keep moving forward and working together. And this is something we must acknowledge. We acknowledge the advances, and I believe we have to move forward to continue identifying and all the things. This is a forum that has consolidated all the partners that have made it possible. We continue in a first assessment. We can share it with you. We must say, and we must be satisfied that this has been consolidated as the biggest and more with more efficacy for reflection and debate digitally in our region. We have been able to do it with the participation of everyone who has given us their time, vision, being objective, critical, and with their proposals. Iberoamerica is strong. Let's not forget that. We have all the capacities to be highly competitive, but we must continue. We have to continue talking with other regions in the world so we can see and have the contrast, how we see each other as a region. It's not enough to put it in paper. It's not enough to finish some indicators. We have to bring it in and to see the potential that we have as a region. Immediately, we can say that we have to think as a region. And what is good for me as a country with the next size, what's benefit for me, it will hurt someone else. We were talking about regulation. Regulation that is not for the forefront in our country stops the engine because companies are investing in different countries, because that's why we talk about regulations at the regional level. We called for cooperation. There was a call for cooperation among peers, and we must look into this, and we must look into this deeper. And for sure, at the next forum, we can have a specific cooperation panel, what cooperation in our region is, and how we have to find and continue developing those cooperation mechanisms so no one is left behind. Like the Minister of Economy said, and several of you said throughout their presentations, nobody's left behind. We need to have more investment, and that's clear. We need to have clear, specific, focused investment, and the authorities must be open to understand what it means, what this investment has to be. The region has harmony. Let's not forget this. It has harmony. We know that we have to know and just project to the world. Last and not least, I want to close by saying what many participants said. They placed it before us, and there's a clear awareness in our region. We have to work from digital innovation, from culture, from content, from education, so we can finish understanding what are the challenges to the environment that cannot be left behind. The technology development, the development of the infrastructure, everything has to be in our mind to take care of the environment. We have a huge challenge as a region. We're one of the greener regions in the world. The largest reserve of fresh water is in Guarani Aquifer in South America. We need to be totally responsible of our environment and to contribute to the Paris Agreement and all the international agreements that our countries have signed. And this cannot be hurting our land. I let you go. I want to thank you for your participation and thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the way that you have held this effort. I want to thank our dear friend who has made it possible to hold this forum, and thank you and tell you that from the Iberoamerican Summit of the presidents and the world leaders from the potential that we have of Iberoamerican recovery. We're going to continue supporting this type of initiatives. We're going to continue working together to work more and better. Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, dear Enrique. It's a privilege to work with the General Secretary of Iberoamerica that is 30 years this year, but it's a privilege to work with you. We have been working for so many years. I want to thank ECLAC. I want to thank Mario Chimoni for their generosity, for availability to talk about the different topics that are so passionate for him, like digital policy in Latin America. Fernando Rojas, coordinator of the digital agenda for Latin America. I also want to thank Cesar Funes, who has been a great support, and to his entire team to hold this meeting that has brought together ministers, regulators, companies in telecom, analysts, journalists, areas of analysis at Congress and parliaments in Latin America. I also want to thank my team, DPL, Jorge Barawe, our boss. There's no question that they're all vital. Isabel Salawar, Erwin, analysts, and everybody that is in the production area for this huge effort. But the main message has been the one from the beginning. Digital policy as an agent of change. There's no more important policy than digital policy. This is not an ancient policy, it's a new one. It has a capacity to change the life of our citizens, companies, and governments. Digital policy is born from the internet and telecommunication services. They know better the tool to grow that this has telecommunications and the internet, and we are linked to this process for transformation. And I want to close thanking everyone, saying that they can cut all the flowers, but they cannot stop digital spring in Iberoamerica. Thank you, and we'll see you soon at the next digital event.